Welcome students, again we are here to cover the another topic in unit spectroscopy. Till now we have discussed UV visible spectroscopy, that is also called as electronic spectroscopy. Then we have discussed infrared spectroscopy, that is vibrational spectroscopy. Then after we have discussed rotational spectroscopy or microwave spectroscopy. All these discussed spectroscopic techniques are based on absorption of electromagnetic radiation. Means till now whatever we have studied, spectrum is of two types we have stated earlier, that is emission or absorption, and your funda should be very much clear about that, that energy level, no matter which type of energy level is, that energy level is quantized, that energy level is quantized, energy of photon is also quantized, and a particular photon of particular energy, that is equal to delta E, if its value is h nu matches, then it will absorb and it will go to higher energy level. There are selection rules that which type of transition is possible, which we have discussed in respective spectroscopic techniques. Absorption spectroscopy is UV visible, absorption spectroscopy is IR spectroscopy, absorption spectroscopy is also microwave spectroscopy. Emission spectroscopy, one emission spectroscopy you have studied in earlier classes, you may have studied in class 11th, that is hydrogen emission spectroscopy, in which an excited electron is returning to ground state, returning to lower energy level. You may remember about Lyman series, Balmer series, Paschen and Brackett and so on. Now, we are going to discuss another spectroscopic technique, and that spectroscopic technique is entirely different. That is why I was reminding you about the previous spectroscopic techniques which we have studied. This is necessary to have an overall idea or concept of each and every topic. So, this spectroscopy, which is called as Raman spectroscopy, is entirely different from others, which till now we have studied. We will be dealing with its introduction, its theory, and Stokes and anti-Stokes Raman scattering, instrumentation selection rule, and IR versus Raman, what is the difference between IR and Raman spectroscopy, and finally, the application of Raman spectroscopy. Let us start. In contrast to other conventional branches, Raman spectroscopy deals with scattering of light rather than absorption. That is why I was saying about this, that this spectroscopic method is different. This is based on scattering of electromagnetic radiation, that is scattering of light, not emission or absorption. Okay. So, this is based on phenomena of inelastic scattering by molecules, which was later called as Raman scattering or Raman effect. It was observed by Sir C. V. Raman in 1928, who got Nobel Prize in Physics in 1930. The photons of high intensity are first absorbed by a sample and then re-emitted. Inelastic scattering means the frequency of re-emitted photons is shifted up or down in comparison with original monochromatic frequency. Means elastic collision means energy remains conserved. Suppose it has been absorbed and it is returning back, this is nu dash, both frequencies are same, energies are same. But if it is inelastic, inelastic means some of the energy has been exchanged by the molecule and photon, between molecule and photon, which we are going to discuss earlier. This Raman spectroscopy is one of the vibrational spectroscopic technique based on inelastic scattering, in which an intense beam of near IR and near UV region, intense beam of monochromatic radiation usually from laser source in visible near IR and near UV region is allowed to fall on sample, and intensity of scattered light is observed at right angles to the incident beam. The theory of Raman spectroscopy. The Raman effect is based on molecular deformations or change in molecular polarizability. The electric vector of electromagnetic radiation upon interaction with sample induces electric dipole moment, which deforms the molecule. Because of periodical deformation, the molecules start vibrating with characteristic frequency. A molecule absorbs a photon with frequency nu, it get excited to higher vibrational energy level, vibrational state, and finally, the excited molecule returns back to same basic vibrational state, re-emitting the light with same frequency. Such type of interaction is called as elastic or Rayleigh scattering. This is the most common phenomena, or this is the dominating case, which is going to be, means there are 3 vibrational levels. If molecule has absorbed, they have gone to higher energy level, most of the time they return back to lower energy level, and means no energy exchange will be between photon and molecule. See, this is the dominating case. That type of scattering is called as Rayleigh scattering. We are going to discuss in coming slides. Now, if the molecule do not return back to same basic vibrational state, it means there has been some exchange of energy. This will be called as inelastic or Raman scattering. Noticeable that this is very rare, and approximately 1 photon out of a million, means 0.0001% Raman effect has been observed. Dominating case is inelastic scattering. So, we can see in coming slides again that what is Raman? Raman effect is that the molecule has absorbed photon, gone to higher energy level, but returned back to this. It means what is nu? Nu dash, both are not same, nu dash not equal to nu. This is Raman scattering, and this is very rare. Okay. So, if we apply law of conservation of energy, the sum total of energies of molecule and photon will remain same before and after collision. So, it means the energy before collision is going to be equal to energy after collision. E plus h nu, that is equal to E dash plus h nu dash. E is energy of the molecule, and E before collision, E dash is energy of molecule after collision, and h nu is the energy of photon before, and h nu dash is the energy of photon after. So, what we have applied the funda of energy of conservation, that total energy of molecule and photon will should be equal to, should be remain conserving, should remain same. So, we can apply nu minus nu dash, that is equal to E dash minus E by h that is also called, that will be delta nu, that is Raman shift. So, if nu and nu dash are same, this is the most probable case, this is most probable case, this is called as Rayleigh scattering, and if the frequencies, both the frequencies are not same, this will be called as Raman scattering, and this is rare. So, noticeable that this is Rayleigh and this is Raman, that is rare, this is 1 out of millions, मिलियन में कहीं एक ऐसा इफेक्ट होने जा रहा है. सो डेल्टा न्यू दैट इज Raman shift is न्यू माइनस न्यू डैश means difference in the energies of initial and after photons. The Raman shift delta nu falls in far and near UV near IR region 100 to 4000 centimeter inverse of electromagnetic spectrum, indicating that Raman effect comprised of vibrational and rotational change in the molecule, as we have seen in case of vibrational spectroscopy. Our working range was in same region. So, it causes only vibrational and rotational change in the molecule. Delta nu, that is Raman shift, is characteristic of a substance which do not depend on frequency of radiation applied, means whatever is the frequency of radiation has been applied, the value of delta nu will be same, means nu and nu dash or nu dash, nu or nu dash, their difference will always be same. Now, the two cases may arise if it is Raman scattering, means if the frequencies are not same. Case first, that nu is greater than nu dash, nu is greater than nu dash. What is going on? Raman active molecule already in ground is vibrational state, absorbs photon, get excited and relaxation when it returns from excited state to first to ground level. In a Stokes Raman shift, it is of lower frequency than the laser light. We can see by this the Stokes lines. Again we can explain that the molecule absorbs photon, goes to higher energy level, but returns back not to that ground level, but first excited state or any higher energy state. So, what about nu and nu dash? Nu is greater than nu dash, such scattering is called as Stokes. So, that we have stated clearly that the Raman active molecule already in ground vibrational state absorbs photon, get excited, then it relaxes. When it is coming out, it is getting relaxed, then the stage at which it returns is not the ground vibrational state, but just higher state. That is why nu is greater than nu dash. This will give Stokes line, and such scattering is called as Stokes Raman. Now, the second case where nu is less than nu dash, this will be giving anti Stokes line, such scattering will be called as anti Stokes Raman scattering. What happens in this? That process initiates from the excited vibrational level, not the ground level, excited vibrational level, and relaxation to the ground state. Then what will take place? A part of energy of molecule get added with that the re-emitting photon. How? This one is anti-Stokes. The process has initiated not from ground state, but some higher vibrational level. Suppose this was V0, V1. So, V1, V2, Vn, any higher state. So, it has gone from not V0, from V1 to higher level, and when it is relaxing, it is returning back to ground level. It means that some of the energy is energy of relaxation photon returning re-emitting photon becomes higher, means nu dash becomes higher. How it is possible? It is possible that some of the energy of photon, energy of molecule has been given to that re-emitting photon. Okay. So, what Raman spectrum? The Raman spectrum of molecule will consist of Stokes and anti-Stokes lines situated symmetrically about the Rayleigh line like this. This is the most probable case, that is Rayleigh scattering, Stokes scattering, initiation from ground vibrational state to higher energy higher vibrational state and relaxation from higher state to any excited states. That is why nu is greater than nu dash. It means some of the energy has been given, the energy of re-emitting photon is less and some of the energy has been given to molecule. What about anti-Stokes lines? The molecule which is already in excited state is going to higher energy level, and when it relaxes it comes to ground vibrational level. What happens? That energy of re-emitted photons or frequency of re-emitted photons becomes higher, and it is possible when the sum of the energy of molecule has been given to these photons. So, what will be the most probable case is Rayleigh, then symmetrically around this Rayleigh there will be Stokes and anti-Stokes lines. What about intensity? What about intensity? The most probable case is Rayleigh. So, intensity of Rayleigh will be obviously high. We know that Raman is taking place 1 out of million, Raman scattering is taking place 1 out of million. So, its intensity will be less, no doubt. Now, in Raman there are two cases, that is Stokes and anti-Stokes. We have to determine the intensity and possibility of these two scatterings. We can notice a thing, that a very small population of molecules will initially reside in first excited state. Generally molecule may be in will be in ground state, and from ground state only Stokes initiates. It means, since the population in higher energy state is less, that is why the chances for anti-Stokes are still less. So, among Raman the most probable is intensity of Stokes will be higher and then anti-Stokes. So, intensity, it must be clear, Rayleigh, then Stokes, then anti-Stokes. Why intensity of anti-Stokes is less? Because very less population of molecules reside in higher energy state already, from where the process begins. So, coming to selection rule of the Raman effect. For a molecular vibration or rotation to be Raman active, it must cause a change in molecular polarizability, that is the molecule should be anisotropically polarizable, that is the molecule should be anisotropically polarizable. Homonuclear diatomic molecules H2, O2, N2 etc. are always anisotropically polarizable, means their polarizability is not same in all the directions. So, molecules those are Raman active are mostly homonuclear diatomic molecule like H2, O2, N2, these are essentially Raman active. Noticeable one more thing, that these non-polar molecules where IR inactive. So, later we will study in coming slides that those two are complementary to each other. Which one? The Raman and IR, means that which one is Raman inactive will be IR active. So, let us continue. Selection rule for this vibrational Raman is delta V plus minus 1, and selection rule for pure rotational delta J 0 and plus minus 2. However, in case of rotational only delta J is equal to plus 2 is operating part, because delta J 0 that is Rayleigh scattering and delta J minus 2 by tradition ignored, as J of upper state must be greater than that of lower state. So, for pure rotational Raman delta J plus 2 and for vibrational Raman delta V plus minus 1. We are mostly dealing with vibrational Raman spectroscopy here. Now, what about the instrumentation? Again I have given a simple outline of spectrophotometer, and that was either for absorption spectrophotometry, absorption or emission spectrum, and not discussed those things in coming other class of spectroscopic, where we were dealing with particularly dealing with that specific spectroscopy like UV visible, like IR and like rotational or microwave spectroscopy. I have not discussed about instrumentation, because we know the funda is same, that this is EM source, then we will be going to monochromator, then we will press sample and then detector, then amplifier and then recorder. This electromagnetic source, then monochromator, then sample, then detector, then amplifier and then recorder. I have given this as a general outline of spectrophotometer and not discussed in other spectroscopic techniques. But in case of Raman, since this spectroscopy is different, we need to explain, we need to discuss instrumentation once again, because it is different. How it is different? Because this is not emission or absorption spectroscopy, rather it is scattering spectroscopy, it is based on scattering of light. So, what we have to do? We have to produce electromagnetic radiation that is being carried out generally by a laser source. That laser source and light from this laser source goes to the sample, and the observation is at right angles, means here we can detect, and we can detect the Rayleigh, Stokes and anti-Stokes lines. So, what we can say, that most probable case is Rayleigh, then Stokes, then anti-Stokes, then same ratio intensity of Rayleigh will be higher than Stokes and then anti-Stokes. So, what this spectrum will show? This spectrum will show light at the original laser, that is Rayleigh frequency, and Raman spectral features for which are unique to the sample. Now, one more thing, IR versus Raman spectroscopy. Both these are complementary to each other, as we have stated earlier. Raman and IR peaks are obtained in IR region due to change in vibrational modes, means this is the similarity. One due to inelastic scattering, which one? Raman. Raman is due to inelastic scattering, while other due to absorption of radiation respectively, absorption of radiation. So, IR peaks are obtained due to absorption of radiation, but Raman peaks are obtained due to inelastic scattering. Next, Raman spectroscopy shown by non-polar molecules, which depends on change in polarizability of molecules, whereas IR spectroscopy is shown by polar molecules that depend on change in dipole moment. Actually, IR and Raman spectroscopy are complementary to each other. The vibrational transitions which are IR active will be Raman inactive, and so on. Like you can say that H2, O2, N2, these are IR inactive and Raman active. we can take HCl, IR active, but Raman inactive. So, once again you may remind that polar molecules will be IR active and non-polar diatomic molecules, those will be Raman active. Raman spectroscopy has been used extensively for analysis of physical properties like crystallinity, phase transition and polymorphs. This is fully non-destructive and requires no sample preparation by dissolving solids and press the pellets. Noticeable in IR spectroscopy, we have to make pellets generally in KBr or any other medium. It means we have to recover the sample again, but in Raman the sample will remain as it is. So, Raman is fully non-destructive technique. The applications of Raman spectroscopy: first, the analysis of molecular properties. The observation of position and intensity of Raman band provide key information to study molecular structure, intermolecular interactions to determine the chemical identity of the sample. The lack of sample preparation also minimize the cleanup and possibility of cross contamination, as we have discussed earlier that in case of IR we need to prepare a sample, generally pellets, but not in Raman. Next is investigation of inorganic samples. The Raman spectroscopy is often superior to IR spectroscopy for investigating inorganic systems, because aqueous solutions can be employed. Further, the vibrational energies of metal ligand bonds are in range of 100 to 700 centimeter inverse, which is difficult to study in IR spectroscopy, but can easily be studied in Raman spectroscopy. So, Raman spectroscopy is also useful for biological systems because of small sample requirement, high sensitivity and no interference by water, means we can work in water medium also, which is generally not possible in case of IR spectroscopy. Thank you. In this way we have finished one complete unit of spectroscopy of syllabus of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, that included the basic concept, that then UV visible spectroscopy, infrared spectroscopy, microwave or rotational spectroscopy, and finally the Raman spectroscopy, which is different from others. Hope you have got. You may see the video, you may pause and note down these things. Thank you once again.